September the 25th, 2025. Guys, there's things going on in D.C. Then we're starting to see some master chess moves, and the Democrats are kind of on the losing side of the deal. They think they can do some things and I think they're being countered pretty heavily, this administration, compared to Trump's first one, because he realized how dirty that they deal. And what's happening, and this is just kind of part of the video, but they're putting up barricades everywhere, and it really started about the 1st of September, when we pulled the National Guard in and they started cutting crime down in D.C. There are going to be a lot of more barricades that are continuing to be up because you've got upcoming events in October 2025 here. Now, again, they're already up in many places. You already have the Guard in place, and that's a good thing right now. But multiple rallies and protests, several organized events in October will require security and crowd control measures. The Unite the DMV or Defend Democracy No Kings rally is scheduled for the Lincoln Memorial on October 17th. Now let's tie this into this chess game just a little bit. What did Trump just say? Last week, Antifa was declared a terrorist organization. Yesterday, he issued a report that he's putting out an executive order to classify more Democratic terrorist organizations illegal. And that really puts a target on them, and that's a good thing too. But again, October 17th, the Defend Democracy, No Kings. I guess they would rather have Queen Kamala, I don't know. The No Kings in Washington, D.C. peaceful movement is planned for the Washington Monument Lodge on October 18th, the next day. Then you've got a Lost Voices of Fentanyl rally, which is a positive rally on October 18th. Local festivals include the Whitman Walker Thrive Fest, Oktoberfest, with specific barricades planned or not detailed. Crowd management is expected. But now the No Kings thing, to me, is the big deal here. Now, permanent, semi-permanent barriers are talking about the White House perimeter, U.S. Capitol complex, the Supreme Court. And, you know, they did all that during Trump's inauguration and all. But right now, there's key things that are coming to a head. And I think, and that goes more to what chess game are we watching? And I think the Republicans are on the winning side of these moves, but it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. The Democrats are desperate, and they may be about to play some of their final hands. And I think the barricades are going to be in probably a pretty good position going through October. But what's going to happen is that they're about to shut down a lot of potential government spending by October 1st, because that's what's going to happen if they don't pass the spending bill by then. White House is raising the stakes of a potential government shutdown by drafting a request for federal agencies to prepare a reduction in force plans in case Congress doesn't pass that bill. And what's part of this chess move right now, if you look at C-SPAN or any of those, the Senate floor hearings, their websites, and nothing's happening. And this is the week before the shutdown. So it could be the Democrats want to blame the Republicans for the shutdown. The Republicans want to blame the Democrats. But in this case, it's going to be the Democrats' fault, because they want all the money that was taken away from the illegal medical funding for their medical bills and their food stamps, and all this has got to come back in, $100 million for this and that. And all they're going to do is grift off that money. That's why they're mad. And so you're going to see No Kings, all of that involved and this is going to be the icing on the cake. In a memo from the Office of Management and Budget obtained by NBC News, the Trump administration indicated it's prepared to go beyond the traditional furloughings of some government employees during shutdown and fire federal employees. Now, they've been kind of wanting to do this anyway, and when they continued some of this employee pay going out, that's also coming to an end, and a lot of them hope it will be renewed. But again, this is all coming in at kind of in a perfect time for these moves. It says, with respect to those federal programs whose funding would lapse and which are otherwise unfunded, such programs are no longer statutorily required to be carried out. The memo says RFI notices will be in addition to any furlough notices provided due to the lapse in appropriation. So you may be getting a pink slip and a furlough slip. But again, we're paying too much money for an oversized government. Now, this memo says that programs that do not benefit from an infusion of mandatory appropriations will bear the brunt of a shutdown, and we must continue our planning efforts in the events Democrats decide to shut down the government, the memo says. So there's threats on both sides. Democrats won't vote if they don't get their illegal money funding back, and they're grifting. And the Republicans have taken off this week, and they just came back to work after almost a month's vacation. Now, and let me add this, Trump told them, he told Schumer and Jeffries of the Democrats, he was not having the meeting that they wanted today. He said it's useless, y'all, and he talks about all the illegal money funding that they want back and all of that, and before they will sign off on the deal. So he just said, he shut down the meeting, said it's useless, don't even bother. And that really got him upset. So in this chess game, and I would have done the same thing, but I would have done it a long time ago, but I would have shut him down. You're not even welcome in the White House. I'll call you if I need you. That type situation. And you better watch it, because if you're still doing illegal crap, you're going to get locked up. Anyway, that level of the chess game is just kind of rising in intensity right now. We're on the 25th, we'll get it tomorrow's. So by early next week, we're going to be running into October 1st. Let's see, what date is that? Let me check my calendar real quick. That would be next Wednesday, a week from yesterday. That's when the shutdown is. And you won't really have, but if they get back into the Senate and the House to vote on anything, they may arrive Monday because of that. Usually they'll fly in Monday, work 3 days, fly back out Friday. But this is going to be a critical week. Trump may really keep them busy. But normally we would see Trump at this point demand the Republicans come back and press these votes. But I think it's got to do with he is not going to even consider any of the Democrats' proposals. He basically told them, as well as a few other people in his staff, to go straight to hell. There's no way they're getting that money back. Continues, it says that Democrats and Republicans are locked in a standoff as government funding is on the brink of expiring at the end of the day Tuesday. The Republican-controlled House passed a short-term bill to fund the government through November 21st, but the Senate, which requires 60 votes to approve a measure, rejected both the GOP and the Democratic proposals to keep the government open. Remember, it was a 6-vote move by the Republicans. Again, they're shutting down the Democrats, so the Republicans in this no-show activity and no-vote activity may be key players in the chess game after all. Now, the memo puts significant pressure on Democrats in which they risk federal employees getting fired if they don't vote with Republicans to keep the government open. Senate Leader Chuck Schumer, of course, you know he's a Democrat, House Minority Leader Jeffries, fired back at the Director Russell Vought on Wednesday night. This is an attempt at intimidation. Exactly, Jeffries. We've listened to all your crap for so long, and you need to be intimidated right out of D.C. Donald Trump has been firing federal workers since day one, not to govern, but to scare. Schumer said in a statement, "This is nothing new and has nothing to do with funding the government. And anytime you hear me say Schumer or Jeffries, you know it's going to be pretty much lie after lie. You watch it live all the time." Says these unnecessary firings will either be overturned in court or the administration will end up hiring the workers back just like they did as recently as today. Maybe, but we're going to lose some. The others will be, some will be furloughed. Some may be furloughed without any pay. at all. Now, I'm sure they're going to keep Capitol Security, ICE, and all of that in place, but they definitely should not pay either the Democratic or the Republican side if they hold out and cost a lot of people their jobs. They should not be paid either, and that would definitely take the time off these voting shenanigans. Bobby Kogan, a former OMB official and the senior director of the Federal Budget Policy for the left-leaning Center for American Progress, that means Democrat Soros, said in a statement that reduction in force efforts would be an action of enormous self-harm inflicted on the nation, needlessly ridding the country of talent and expertise. They just don't know how to do anything but lie, and all of their lies point to what they've been doing, and they're blaming the other people for it right now. But this reduction in force, all they want is to be able to grift from stuff like USA Aid and all the handouts and everything else, because that's the only way that they have stayed in office. That and mail-in ballots. Big-time cheating, and that's why they're so upset about what Texas did in the redistricting. But guys, this is going to get very interesting in what happens between now and, actually I said Wednesday, and you saw it was Tuesday, I guess at midnight, of what's going to happen. I'm sure there'll be additional security forces in D.C. and probably some of the other major places that are democratically controlled, Chicago, L.A., things like that. But all of this is just going to pull out what the Democrats have been doing and exposing it to them. Now, what I'm really going to be watching is how much hell they raise and how that takes and adds to who's going on the new Domestic Terrorism Act. And that would be the ultimate play in the chess game. And Trump also mentioned that mainstream media had a lot to do with pushing domestic terrorism, and he's right, as well as the Democrats getting up on MSNBC every day. But MSNBC's O'Leary said today, ICE needs to change policies, tactics, or there will be more violence. You see who's right? It's part of the complicity of the domestic terrorism, and they all need to be taken down. Replace it with conservative channels, or just let YouTube handle it and the conservative outlets. But we got a few that we can barely stand, and Fox is one of them, and it's just hard to say. They're trying to stay in good favor, and they're like the big bad cop and the good cop in a situation a lot of times. But we have to watch them, and there's people now that are even calling them out, trying to keep them walking the straight road. But again, Newsom and Crockett, they've incited violence against ICE before. And that was before the Charlie Kirk attack. That's what I meant. And we just see it continuing now. This is today's headlines from MSNBC. Again, interesting times. Got to be prepared. People in the country and in the South, we don't care much about the big cities, and we don't get involved in that violence. But as long as they leave it out of here, because we don't play. Just that easy. And Antifa knows it. They don't get along too well in the South unless it's a big libtard city like Atlanta or something like that, or in Texas. And Texas is trying to do their best to take some of that libtardness out of their state. And people ask us why we live in the Deep South where there's no libtarded cities. Just a bunch of patriots that are very well prepared to handle business. So if you're not in one of those places, you're going to be seeing a lot more violence. But you need to get in, if you love New York or whatever for some demented reason, then get involved in your local politics and make sure Mandammy and his mama and whoever all is involved in this, and Chuck Schumer, he doesn't get into office. Now, a lot of New Yorkers, are really frustrated because of mail-in ballots and the cheating. But you guys, you're there. You got to get on top of watching the ballots and all of that, right? And staying up on the politics and trying to stop mail-in balloting, because I think Trump and his administration right now are pushing a lot of pressure on New York not to let him into office. And if he does get in, I don't think he's going to last very long, just my opinion. But maybe they're going to let him go in to see the ultimate destruction of what a blue city can cause you. We're watching it, guys. You watch it. It's a heads up. Be safe.